Welcome everyone to the first Town and Village Management podcast. I'm Gillian Elliott, Town and Village Manager for Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council, and along with my team, we're here to support our towns and villages to be really great places. The last few months has been a real time of change and uncertainty for a lot of us. But as our towns start to come alive again, it is now important that we make sure that our customers feel confident to come back in through our doors, to return to our towns and to shop, eat and enjoy what our towns have to offer. So, how do we create that warm welcome back for your customers? With all the hand sanitising, managing the queues outside, putting up your plastic screens and just all the general turmoil, what can we do to create that magical presence to entice those people in through our doors and into our shops? With me today is Mags McAlpine from Creating Retail Magic, a professional visual merchandising and retail consultancy. She's brought that little bit of touch of magic to stores right across Ireland, and we're really happy to have her with us here today. I'm going to hand over to Mags now, and she will take you through her presentation. So hopefully you will enjoy. Over to you, Mags.
Hello, and thank you so much for your time to attend the session with us. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to this webinar, and I really wish you all the best as you reopen your business and welcome back your customers. As mentioned there, I'm a professional visual merchandiser, spent over 20 years in the business, working in window displays, themed events, throughout the island of Ireland and UK and further afield. Some of my favourite projects that I've worked on, of course, are Santa Grottos. Who doesn't love the magic of being a child, going to see Santa and all of the magic around that? I also love doing themed markets and festivals, but of course, working with independent shopkeepers to help create their own very special style of retail magic is really the most rewarding. So let's dive straight in, because in these next few short minutes that we are together, I'm going to help you recreate the magic of retail as we reopen our business doors. So here we are, ready and reopen to serve, enhancing your interiors and creating a reassuring ambience in your shop and creating a warm welcome back. I want to give you lots of inspiration over these next few minutes for ideas of how you can address the situation in your shop that it doesn't look clinical and scary. A lot of the consumer feedback we're getting is that people are a little bit nervous about going back into shops. So what I want you to do is listen to these ideas and tips that I'm going to give you to use them in your own premises. So the key message: shop local, shop safe. A little bit about me. Well, I'm the only fellow of the British Display Society here in Northern Ireland. I have a degree in visual merchandising and lots of other training around business coaching and helping people really develop their business in a creative way. The things I love to do in work: visual merchandising in shops, at events, in town centres, creating Santa Grottos. We've been involved with projects like the Lisburn Light Festival, the Twilight Market in St. George's, winning lots of awards. And of course, we're delighted now to work with Causeway Coast and Glens Borough Council for this. What I'd love you to do as we go through this little session, please take the opportunity to use your phone, take a little snap of the screen, because there's lots of ideas that I think will be really useful for you. Use them when you can and as you will. The first thing I want you to snap is this screen here. It's what I call my visual merchandising and promotions canvas. It's an overview of your business. It's a 10-minute exercise. Have a look and think about, what is your business? What are your unique selling points? What is your story? How did you set up the business? Because in looking at this, you'll get lots of ideas of what visual merchandising, promotions, events, and ideas you can create. Think about also who inspires you, what retail brand or person or company inspires you. Why do you love them? What do they do? Because this is what will create your story as well. What do your customers love about you? What I also want you to think about as we go through this session is what themes inspire you. You will see pictures, lots of pictures on this presentation. Snap the screen, jot it down, because this is where you will be able to create your own retail magic from. So, as I said, we are recreating the magic of retail. The key message is we're open again and we're ready to serve you. In accordance with the government guidelines, let's have a little snapshot here. The screen that we're looking at the moment gives a little visual to show that plastic screens on the tills, we should try and keep 6 feet apart. We should keep our customers, again, 6 feet apart, and we should create our one walkway if possible. Now, I completely understand with our smaller shops and the smaller footprints, this is the challenges that we have to deal with. So that's where I want to give you some ideas around that. We also have suggestions about removing your promotions and shop fitting systems from tight spaces. We have ideas about quarantine your tried on items, and of course, hand sanitizer as much as possible. So what I want you to have a think now about is the layout of your shop. On the screen in front of you, you will see 6 visuals, which are typical layouts of shops, from angular to grid to loop, free flow, diagonal, and then forced path. These are 6 typical areas that how we lay out a shop. Which one is most relevant to you? Or do you see something on these layouts that could, with a little bit of tweaking, suit your space really, really well, just to encourage that one-way system and maintain the social distancing aspects that we need to do? Also thinking about rethinking your interior, think about creating the safe space, but how do we do that in a non-clinical, more of a warm and welcoming approach? So 2 very simple points. Can you reduce any of your mid-floor gondolas or your aisle end units or even your promotional displays just to free up more space to avoid those pinch points? This is one of the little tasks you can have a look at. Perhaps you've done it already and it's working for you. I would also suggest, can you use more attractive mid-floor displays to create those walls and those paths? For example, use mannequins with the positive messages, maybe on t-shirts, on the mannequins, or even your stock. We are also encouraging people to change their mannequins more frequently to reduce the amount of handling of merchandise by clients. Could you also use table displays to create those walls or barriers? Or perhaps chalkboards or clear perspex signs that you can scribble inspirational quotes on. Again, it's all about creating a warm and welcome ambience. And of course, sanitizer points. On the slide that you'll see here about a safe space, you'll see lots of ideas, even for using a clothes hanging rail, decorated with really nice hanging plants to create more of attractive space. As we move on to our next slide, you will have a little quick checklist. I've put this together, and with the little camera icon, take a snap. This is your little checklist to say, okay, what could I do here? So I'm suggesting use your clear signage to manage your social distancing and to inform your customers. Place your sanitizer in a very prominent position at your entry and exit points. Working with customers over these last couple of weeks as they've reopened, I've really noticed that the feedback has been that they have to put the hand sanitizers in a very, very prominent place because people are actually walking by them. Remember, the orientation zone, which is about the first 3 to 15 feet inside your shop, depending on the size of it, is where people work out where they need to go, what they're looking for. And again, in these days of reintroducing ourselves to retail, it's that orientation point that's important. So make sure your sanitizer is in that very prominent position. As mentioned before, try and use your furniture, your mannequins, your shop fitting equipment to create a wall and a path for people to follow around. And of course, follow a strict cleansing and quarantine of your products regime. Work this out to suit your business the best. You might also consider having a new returns policy if you're not opening your changing rooms for people to try on things. Engage with your customers verbally. Have a chat with them, make eye contact. We are all missing this human interaction so much. And if you have a PA system and it suits your shop, that could be another way to have some nice welcome back, you are safe in our store messages. And of course, I would always suggest using fresh flowers and plants to create a beautiful holistic space. There's nothing nicer than being back in touch with nature. So try and do that, even pop in a nice little vase of flowers as you come in. So going from the inside, just having a look on the outside, a little quick checklist on your curb appeal. So we know this from all the property house programs that we have watched, and probably during lockdown we've been gorging on them as well. A little checklist for your shop, your curb appeal. Have a look. Is it appealing to a queue? there's a probability we're still going to have queuing in place. So now more than ever, it's very, very important that the front of your shop and the space around it is attractive and engaging and almost entertaining for those that are waiting to come in. So a little checklist. Is it clean? Does it need a touch of paint? Have you got flower boxes? Could you get them? The ones you have, do they need a bit of a tidy up? What's your signage and your lighting like? A bit more of an investment, but worth having a look at it. Equally, if you have a canopy, how is that? Does it need to be replaced? Does it need a bit of a clean? Or could you get one if that's something of interest to you? The final 2 points on this slide are looking at if you've recently introduced maybe a pickup service or a delivery service. Have you an area allocated where people can do that very safely, maintaining the social distancing? And finally, on this slide, what I'd like to suggest is an idea of safe entertainment. The shops that have opened in London, for example, in the last week, Selfridges, for example, they are introducing a lot of ideas around entertaining the queue as a way to come in. Now, I appreciate it'd be lovely to have a big queue like Selfridges around the corner for your business, but if you don't have something like that, is there a way that you could create safe entertainment? Maybe putting on some music, allowing for licensing. Could you have some buskers, again, maintaining social distancing, but little ideas for that. Could be just to entertain your customers as they wait to come into you. So just to wrap up that little bit there, what I want to suggest is creating the positive experience for the shop local, shop safe. The key message is we're back. We have things done as best as possible. You are welcome and you will be safe in this shop. So use your windows, your facade, and any external space you have available to engage with your customers and entice them in. Use positive messaging, whether it's signage around the store or even on staff uniforms to say, welcome back, keep your distance, we're here for you. Visual impact, I'm all about that. Fresh plants, colours, displays, and of course, remember attractive scents. With hand sanitizers everywhere, maybe we don't want to have the strong smell of the alcohol cleansing fluids. So think about that vanilla, lemons, fresh smells. Of course, if you're having a cafe and you're going to be open soon, you'll have those beautiful scents coming through. But the sense of smell is very, very important in creating this positive experience in your store. Another idea might be to consider creating welcome back goodie bags or gift sets in some way for your customers that are coming back. It's to maintain and redevelop that brand loyalty. It could be something like simple, whether it's little vouchers or even the idea of a savings club. Some feedback I've been getting again recently is that with all this austerity and people unsure of where they are financially, the idea of savings clubs, because Christmas will come, the kids back to school will come, the kids are going back, as we know now, in the end of August into September. But Christmas will come, as will the new year. Could you introduce something like a savings club in your business to help out your customers? A couple of other ideas for you. Again, if people are queuing outside, could you have any complimentary branded umbrellas or even the little ponchos that you would get at event parks? I mentioned the self-entertainers. One other idea might be useful for you would be to consider private shopping sessions, booking by appointment for small groups of people within their bubble and as per the government guidelines. And I always say, bring your shop to life online through video and live sessions. They don't have to be professional recordings. In fact, a little walk around in your store with your camera, however it's done, that would be really, really attractive. There's a really nice picture on this slide from Selfridges this week where they're saying, nice to see you nice. Now, you might remember that catchphrase, but this is the key message that we want to say to people. You are very welcome back and you are safe in our shop. Our next slide, as we close up our session, is giving you some top tips about how to recreate the magic of retail by using your professional visual merchandising. On this slide, I've shown some pictures of some window displays that have a bit of a fun twist on the idea of face coverings and distancing. Also the rainbow color scheme that we've seen quite a lot over the last couple of months. There's also a beautiful slide on this page, which is from a shop called Anthropologie. They're a big American brand, but what I love, absolutely adore about their inspiration is that their windows are generally all about recycling and care of the planet and the community. The slide here shows a group of just two simple mannequins with a blue backdrop, but they've used a whole proliferation of white birdhouses. That's what they kind of look like. They remind me of the Greek Isles, you know, of Santorini, of the white little villages spilling down the hill. But this might be something, a very, very simple idea that you could create in your shop window. And again, remember, you might not have a shop window, but you will have display areas inside your shop or inside your space. Perfect for little displays, perfect for photographs for your social media. So, revamping your visuals. I'm going to give you 3 simple steps that I use as a visual merchandising professional to create displays and themes and ideas. I base them around theme, color, and the message or the call to action. In the slide that we are looking at the moment, we've got a very simple jewellery display on a gorgeous piece of driftwood. Easy to do. Some pebbles around the base, a little bit of sand, your display is done. There's another window display picture on this, which looks at the colour. So we'll have a look at colour in a sec, about the colour wheel, but in this picture that we're looking at on the screen, it's a summer gardening window, a mannequin simply dressed, but decorated with a garden hose, some potted plants, some topiary. The backdrop is quite clever. It's almost like a children's do-it-yourself kit where you build something and everything is stuck together on a plastic grid work. And if you look closely, you'll see details like trowels and plants and pitchforks and a bit of fence. But it's a really nice idea. It's a Lanvin window, so it's really, really interesting. The final point that we're going to look at in these next slides will be the message or the call to action. There's a photograph on this slide which is of a shop in Italy, taken in Italy last week, where they are back to shopping with their 30% discount. Again, people would have a lot of stock at the moment, so it's ideas of how to shift your stock to manage, of course, your financials and your cash flow. So when we look at creating our visual merchandising theme, there's 4 points around that. I always create the theme of a display or an event around 4 points, which would be the retail calendar, whether you have a promotion in-house or maybe your suppliers have given you some free stock. There may be a tourist or a cultural occasion. And again, perhaps one of the most important things is the call to action. It's the welcome back to our shop. Putting it very simply, remember when Alice fell down the rabbit hole, and she was falling down and she was disorientated. She didn't know what was going on, but when she found the cake that said eat me or the bottle that said drink me, she knew what to do and she acted upon that. So think about Alice in Wonderland in your shop. What do you want your customers to do? What do you want them to feel? In this case, we really want to welcome them back to our shop and to join us again in retail. That's a little bit about theme. On colour, we have a slide here that shows the colour wheel. If we've done dabbling in painting or even back in art in school, you'll remember the colour wheel. And in that, we have 3 groupings. So we have sections where the colours are all next to each other, all the shades are next to each other. So all the reds together, all the blues, the greens, etc. So you can create a beautiful window display just based on one colour. There's a nice slide here that shows the colour palette of reds into oranges. We also have a grouping called analogous, which are the ones that are next to each other. So think of beautiful summer colours like greens and into turquoises, into blues. Again, Anthropologie is a lovely brand from America, and they have a shop in Belfast for inspiration. But you'll also find some fabulous inspiration for independence throughout Pinterest searches and Instagram searches, of course. The last grouping on colour is called complementary. They're the ones that are directly opposite each other. Think about Christmas, red opposite to green, for example. There's a really nice slide, a picture on this slide, which shows going into autumn, gorgeous, juicy cooking apples versus succulent blackberries. So you've got the purples versus the greens. What could you do in your shop now as we go through summer and into autumn for your displays? The last pillar I want to tell you about here for these 3 simple steps to visual merchandising goes back to the Alice in Wonderland, the call to action. Very simply, what do you want your customer to do? What will your customer get in return? It's been shown through statistics and research that including the message will increase the effectiveness of your display and your call to action by 53%. So remember, tell people, you're welcome, we're back, come in, we're delighted to see you. Maybe you're having a savings club, tell people about that. There's a nice picture on this slide which says, It was a project I had done with an antique shop. They found people were coming in and browsing but not buying. So we created a sign that says, the item that you want, that you are looking at now and want to think about tonight will be sold later today to the people who saw it yesterday and thought about it last night. So it's more of a call to action. Make the decision, buy from me now. Now, our next little slide is some inspiration I've put together for you. So this will be wrapping up our short session, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this session now. I've got a collection of pictures and themes that I would use for creating summer and early autumn displays. What I will always say to you is, what are your brand's thoughts and your feelings? And what is your philosophy on life in terms of your business and personal? Over the last couple of months, people have really taken the opportunity to sit back. I mean, when have we in our own businesses ever thought we would be forced to close our shops and not be in our businesses? So we've had time to think about how we might do things differently. So what is your new philosophy for yourself, for your business? And what are the themes and the messages and the topics that would appeal to your customers as well? On this slide here, which is Beach Life, I have some really nice pictures to give you ideas of creating fun ideas around ice cream cones with big pom-poms for the ice cream balls on top, using noodles, the swimming noodles that the children enjoy bashing each other with, to create a really nice display, popping sunglasses on them, popping them into little plastic buckets. A very, very easy and cost-effective display to do. I've also included some pictures that include one of my favorite things, which are succulents. Gorgeous for creating a lovely laid-back beach vibe display. And there's a cute little sign that includes sort of beach life puns. So for example, advice from a starfish which would be seize the day, the pun being on S-E-A-S, seize rather than seize the day. And be sure of yourself, all of those things. So great fun, really nice to have a look at puns for inspiration for windows. That's beach life. Maybe you'd like to think something more like urban jungle. So we've got some very nice displays here that use palm leaves, monstera leaves, painting on glass. It's really just to create a beautiful kind of green, verdant, leafy display. How could you use that in your display as well? And then the next one we have is Escape to the Country. So it's more the tones heading towards August and into early autumn. Golds, russet colours, yellows, and keywords like hope, for example, because that's what we are going into this period now, this rebirth, this new generation of hope and a new start in retail. So again, going back to your philosophy, what appeals to you, your customers. The final little slide I'm going to show you for visual inspiration is around back to school. So on this slide, you'll see a very, very easy to install window display, which is inspired by the idea of Scrabble tiles. So you can see back to school with the word school vertically and back and to going across horizontally. There's also a really nice slide on this, which is very, very colourful, and it's essentially around stationery for school. So coloured ribbons, tapes, scissors, and scribbles, all just on whiteboards, very, very simply popped into a window display. And remember, back to school cannot be just for back to school itself, but other brands will use that theme. So for example, there's an image here of a cosmetic company, and they have put very, very simply a pile of books with a lipstick on top of it. They've made a paper airplane with the kiss of the lipstick mark, the lip marks, on the airplane, and then they've got a simple little paper bag with a mocked up sandwich inside it, a little lunch or tuck bag. So you don't have to have a cosmetics company or have a back to school company to do a back to school window display. I guess that's my point on that one. Take inspiration. It's about engaging your customers and being creative. So to wrap up, we're back onto the VM and promotions canvas. I hope you've got some interesting ideas to motivate you to dress your shop out now, look at the space that you have, and try to adjust and rebalance perhaps what might be perceived to be a clinical approach to your store. It's all about welcoming people back in and saying, you are welcome, you are safe in this shop, and we're delighted to have you back. So thank you so much for spending this time with us in this session. I really wish you the best as you welcome your customers back into store. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mike. That was fantastic. I even got some inspiration there in terms of what I would like to see within our shop windows right across the borough. I just want to say that you have mentioned that the council is here for support in terms of what we can provide to businesses right across the borough. So I'm going to put some details up here as we finish. Please make sure that you get in contact with us. Our Environmental Health Service are there to help you with your reopening of your shop. And don't forget, there is business support. So thanks very much, and please look out for our next podcast, which will delve into this in a little bit more detail. Thank you all. Bye.